Assalamu alaikum. I am Fizza Raza. I am currently enrolled in MPhil Zoology program in BZU Multan. My topic is review on disruption of female reproductive system due to the pesticides exposure. So let's first talk about the pesticides. That what are the pesticides? So generally basic introduction से start करते हैं. Pesticides are the substances or the mixture of substances that prevent, destroy, repels, mitigates any pest. सो बेसिकली पेस्टिसाइड्स केमिकल्स होते हैं जो डिफरेंट इंग्रेडिएंट से मिलके बनते हैं डिफरेंट केमिकल से. इफ दे आर डिफरेंशिएटेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर केमिकल नेचर एंड टॉक्सिसिटी. We use pesticides to kill pests. For example, like in usual days in on crops pesticides को spray किया जाता है ताकि उनको pest से जो है वो save किया जा सके. So on the basis of their types and the chemical formation and the pest type which they are used for, it is divided into the six categories. The insecticides that are used to kill insects, herbicides that are used to kill plants like unwanted plants, undesired plant like weeds, rodent. So moving forward, pesticides are widely used and found in large number and variety. So it in a review paper that was published on 21st of October 2019, it was estimated that by 2022 the usage of pesticides will increase up to 3.5 million tons. And if you talk about the top countries that are consuming the pesticides, these includes China, USA, Argentina, Thailand, Brazil, India and so many others. So to be very honest, nowadays pesticides की बहुत ज़्यादा demand है and they are widely used in our fields. Maybe matlab they are using it for killing the pests, but it is also having harmful effects on humans as well as on the animals. So we will talk about the effects of pesticides on the female reproduction system in this presentation. Okay, so moving forward, as we know that the pesticides are make up from the different ingredients. So these ingredients include some active ingredients and some inactive ingredients. So if we talk about the chemical composition of the pesticide includes one active ingredient and one inactive ingredient. The inactive ingredient is also known as the inert ingredient. So active ingredients are the ingredient that play a vital role and is the chief chemical involved in the pesticides formation. So and the inert ingredient or inactive ingredient is the ingredient that is used for handling the active ingredient or that supports the properties or the characteristics of the active ingredient. So over 700 active ingredients are used worldwide as pesticides, each with different chemical and toxicological properties. Okay, so moving forward, as we know, pesticides are accused of causing short-term adverse health effects in humans. For example, stinging eyes, rashes, blisters, blindness, nausea, dizziness, diarrhea and death, and sometimes death obviously due to some cardiovascular diseases or central nervous system diseases that are also caused by the pesticides exposure, by the long-term exposure to the pesticides. There are many other effects too in male and female, but we will talk about the effects on the reproductive system. Pesticides also affect male reproductive system and the female reproductive system of those who are directly exposed to the pesticide by occupationally or by working in the fields. So here female, it ranges from abortion, stillbirth, which is death or loss of baby before the delivery, birth defects and malformations is the defaultly or faulty formation of the body part or the organ. Okay, so in the next slide, here is a kind of a chart which is provided to understand the linking between different factors. So how the pesticides exploit the exact mechanism is still unknown. The only the obvious mechanisms are here that it affect the structure of the cells. It also affects the normal function of the cell, and the biotransformations resulting in toxic metabolites. It also affects the fertility, spontaneous abortion, stillbirths, premature birth, low birth rate, and developmental defect, that is the malformations. So in the next slide we will be talking about destruction of the female reproductive function. Okay, so as we know that to maintain the hormonal balance, androgens are converted into estrogen. It occurs with the help of an enzyme that is called as aromatase. Pesticides like phenarimol and other fungicide possesses the ability to inhibit estrogen biosynthesis through inhibition and preventing the conversion of androgens to estrogens up. Obviously when androgens will not be converted to estrogens, and it will be inhibited by the fungicides and the phenarimol pesticides, so it will cause hormonal imbalance. So number second is, as we know that the hormones travel from their point of release towards the particular tissues to convey their messages. Specific hormones bind to specific receptors. So here a number of agents may alter so here a number of environmental agents may alter the process by mimicking the natural hormone, which is known as the agonist, or by inhibiting receptor binding antagonist. As a result of these, the levels of LSH and FSH will drop. LH, okay, as we know that the hormones bind to specific receptors, to carry their messages. So here a number of environmental factors will affect the natural hormone by mimicking another hormone like the natural hormone, and which is known as antagonist. So as a result of this antagonist, LH and FSH will drop, and it led to the lack of estradiol. As we know that estradiol is an important hormone that plays a vital role in maturation of the follicles and in maintenance of the menstrual cycle. Okay, so it also affects pesticides also affects the ovarian cycle irregularities, in which include the disturbances in the ovarian cycle and ovarian problems. Obviously when environmental factors will affect the hormonal level, it will cause changes and in the ovarian cycle too. Okay, so let us view this diagram. This is a diagram showing hormone mimicry. So here we can see the hormone will bind to specific hormone will bind to specific receptor, but here estrogen like chemical inappropriately trigger receptors and ask it to bind a mimic hormone that is not an original hormone, but it is a mimic hormone. And it will bind to the receptor, which results in a response, and which is not a response. So two studies examined the effects of pesticide exposure on the menstrual cycle, and it associates between the serum DDT and the short cycle. So DDT is a dichlorodiethyl. DDT is dichlorodiphenyl trichloromethane, and it is an insecticide used in agriculture. It was widely used before, but banned in USA in 1972 after Silent Spring book by Rachel Carson, in which she discussed some adverse effects of DDT on animals and humans. Second, were menstrually active affected from pesticides from 60 to 100%, and results in experiences odd long cycles, missed periods, and intermenstrual bleeding compared with women who had never been used pesticides. There was very obvious effect. In a USA study, infertile women were observed to be 3 times more likely to ever having been exposed to the pesticides, 9 times more likely to ever having worked in agriculture. So the women, those were infertile, were more likely to be 3 times more they were exposed as compared to the women that were not exposed to. So here a number of studies reported among the women occupationally exposed to pesticides or while working in agriculture fields risk spontaneous abortion and stillbirth, which is the death of the baby during or after the delivery, so seem to be significantly increased after when they were exposed to pesticides. Moving forward, here is okay, so here are some papers, research papers that discuss the different chemical pesticide chemicals and their effects on the woman. So first is by Gerhard in 1990 and in Germany. So the pesticides here were chlorinated hydrocarbons, including pesticides, other pesticides too. So it when the women were exposed, it causes 489 in fertile women's 40s. In 1997 in USA, agriculture related exposures including pesticide, and it results in 281 infertile women cases. Jarrell in 1993 in Canada, chlordane, HCB, DDE, exploit and other chemicals, 74 women undergone IVF. In conclusion of this topic, we describe different ways in which pesticides may disrupt the hormonal functioning of female reproductive system, in particular ovarian cycle. But pesticides are not one common substances. It comprises of a large number of distinct substances with dissimilar structures and diverse toxicity. So therefore it is more likely that not only above mentioned mechanisms are involved, but other pathophysiological pathways also explain the role of pesticides exposure or ovarian cycle disturbance, ultimately leading to the fertility issues and the problems of reproductive toxic effects. That was all from my side. Thank you.